Hi, Facebook friends. This is Dee-Dee Devon with Divine Intervention, Lifestyle, and Nutrition Health Coaching. Today, to talk to you about food. Wow, what a concept. I, I am a lifestyle and nutrition health coach, but I tend to talk a lot about lifestyle. And one reason is because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So today, I'm especially excited to talk to you about food, and I want to talk to you about healing. And I'm excited to do that with you. So, welcome, welcome, and thank you for tuning in. As I was thinking about what to talk to you about today, I was just thinking, sitting, listening, feeling about what's important now. And all I could think of is health. Because at the end of the day, when we don't have it, boy, is it painful. And if there are things we can do, and to have the best health we can have, then we'd have the energy to do all the things that we want to do in life. And if I had a nickel or even a penny for every time I heard somebody say, I don't have enough time, I'd be a very wealthy woman. But what they really are lacking isn't time, it's energy. People have no energy for anything, especially when you have things to do and things to say but can barely get through the day. When we don't have our health and we aren't feeling good, it's really hard to do anything, and it's really especially hard to create the kind of life that we want, if you'd even call that a life. There's a concept that I've been obsessed by lately, which is this idea of a better than ever body. Might have something to do with a birthday I have coming up very soon. You know, how you kind of tend to evaluate every year. The idea that you can look or feel better at any age, no matter what your circumstance is, that maybe you have in 10 years or 20 years or maybe even 30 years. But as I tend to work mostly with women of a certain age, that now can be the best time ever for your health. And a better than ever body isn't about body size, it's about health. And when you can get your body into a state where it is optimal for the best health, then weight loss just takes care of yourself. It's not even a thought, it's a byproduct. You end up at the place where your body is happy and comfortable, and that's different for everyone. So, what I want to talk to you about today are 3 ways to use food to start to heal. And if you're in a situation where you are maybe not sick, but you want to have more energy or you want to lose weight, whatever it is that you might have going on for you. So, for an example, what is it for you? If you were to have the better than ever body, where you're looking and feeling better than ever, what is it for you that you would want most for yourself, for your health right now? I'm going to be turning 60 this month, and I think I might actually feel better than when I was 35. And that's the goal. That's what I want for myself, and I'm curious what it is for you. When it comes to disease and healing, food can seem quite complicated, and the more you read and hear and listen and learn about it, the more confused and dizzying it can become. And I want to suggest that the first thing to understand is that food is only one part of the healing formula, and the other part is your state. And what do I mean by that? Yes, California is a wonderful state to be healthy in, but that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, what state is your body in? Is it in a state of stress? Is it in a state of relaxation? And it's a crucial question to ask because I want to suggest that the foundation of all healing is moving the body from a state of stress to a state of relaxation. That's the magic right there. And as I teach my clients in my health coaching practice, there are 4 kinds of stress, and I'd like to go over those with each of you right now. Okay? So first, there's biological and chemical stress. So in the processes internally in the body, we can experience stress when things are off. So you might have digestive stress. You might have unbalanced blood sugar that has you feeling amazing and then crashing, and then feeling amazing and then crashing. A lack of sleep can cause biological or chemical stress. A lack of water internally can cause stress. Lack of vitamin S, I call that vitamin sun, fresh air, or an unhealthy environment can cause stress in the body. So that's the first one, biological and chemical stress. The second one is mental and emotional stress. And what is that? That's in our beliefs, in our thoughts, and in our feelings. And the thing that's really interesting about mental and emotional stress is that the way we perceive something is what creates the stress response, or it can have us feel better. So our perception can have us feel worse or better. And the thing that's happening, that thing we're perceiving, is actually not as important as our perception. So in other words, the thing that's happening is less important than our reaction to it and the meaning that we're making about it. And so you've heard that, your circumstances are 10% what's happening to you and 90% what you make of that. So that's exactly a little something, again, that I teach my clients, is how our beliefs can create our biology. And this is sort of a secret sauce, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. So let's go back to our mental and emotional stress. So we've talked about the way we perceive things. So that can cause us stress or make us feel better. I call that reframing. Is it actually a problem or an opportunity? The other thing that really causes us mental and emotional stress is the greatest epidemic of our time, which is isolation. Isolation. And research has shown that loneliness is as lethal as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, and that people need to feel connected, they need to feel belonging, and they need to feel part of a community. And that's why it's super crucial to get support and accountability around becoming the best possible version of yourself, even if no one else around you gets it or gets you. Okay? So now for the third source of stress that we experience. We've talked about biological and chemical, the processes of the body. We've talked about the second, which is mental and emotional, and that's our beliefs and our thoughts and our feelings. And the third is spiritual. And what I mean by spiritual is really our sense of connection to that which is greater. And all of us, we all have different definitions or belief systems around that which is greater. For some, it's Jesus. For some, it's the universe. For some, it's Buddha. Everyone has a different version of that. But whatever your version is, what can happen is we feel, as much as we feel passionate about universe, Jesus, whatever, we can sometimes lose our connection and almost have a crisis of faith, or feel like God has forgot my address, or forget that we're never really alone in life. We're always being guided and supported by that which is greater. But when we're having stress, we can feel like we're alone. And of course, that's a terrible, terrible feeling. Okay, let's look at the fourth kind of stress we might experience. And that's structural. Structural. I don't teach it, so I can't pronounce it. And that would be in our bones and in our muscles. And some examples of that might be back pain or neck pain or injuries. Or an example of structural stress might be breathing issues. Maybe you have a deviated septum in your nose, and it's really difficult to breathe. And there's issues that can result from that. So what we have is biological chemical stress, mental emotional stress, spiritual and structural stress. In my health coaching practice, I focus on the first three, biological, chemical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. The structural I leave to the chiropractors and the physical therapists, people who work with the body in that way. So let's talk about those first three. What's happening in the body when you're experiencing biological and chemical stress, when you're experiencing mental and emotional stress, when you're experiencing spiritual stress. Stress, any of those kinds of stress is going to affect something called the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system. And you can think of the autonomic nervous system like automatic, because it's part of our nervous system that operates our body without us even having to control the operation. It's like breathing, heart rate, digestion, elimination. The autonomic nervous system is also the primary mechanism in controlling our fight or flight response. And now here's another fun fact. There's fight, there's flight, and there's actually another reaction that the autonomic nervous system can have. And fight, flight, and freeze. When someone is feeling scared or threatened, or they're either going to fight back, or they're going to run, or they're going to freeze and panic like a deer in the headlights, right? So the autonomic nervous system is responsible for this fight, flight, and freeze response. Now, this autonomic nervous system has two branches. And these two branches are either going to turn on the stress response, fight, flight, or freeze, or they're going to turn off the stress response, so relaxation, right? And so the two branches are the sympathetic nervous system, that's the stress response, my right hand, and the parasympathetic nervous system, that's the relaxation response. But for the sake of simplicity, I'll just refer to it as the stress response or the relaxation response. And the important thing for us to know is that all sickness happens in the stress response, in the sympathetic nervous system. All sickness happens there. And all healing happens in the parasympathetic, the relaxation response. And let me give you an example of this and how it plays out in, for example, digestive issues, which is useful because 60 to 70 million Americans are affected by digestive issues. So, when it comes to digestion, what happens? When the stress response is on, all of a sudden the body's stressed, the stress response turns on, digestion turns off. It has to. Because if a bear were coming after you, your body's like, no. We don't have time to digest a Snickers bar right now. We got to run or we going to die. So your body's going to reroute blood from your stomach to your arms and legs for quick running and your brain for quick thinking. And it's going to increase adrenaline and cortisol. It's going to increase your heart rate. It's going to dilate your pupils. It's going to create shallow breathing. And it's going to get your body into the state of high alert. Wow, that just happened to me. So you can run, so you can fight, and it can even allow you to freeze. But here's the thing that's important. The brain cannot differentiate the difference between real and imagined stress. So you could have the experience of, I'm being chased by a bear, but it feels the same as, oh my God, I'm sitting in traffic and I'm late to pick up my grandchild from school, or your boss is yelling at you, or you're having a fight with a friend. So if you can imagine that when you're eating, your brain can't tell the difference between real or imagined stress. You eat food and you're scarfing a turkey wrap at lunch or at work, or you're in your car trying to eat like a sous vide egg, bubble, boil, zero, nothing from Starbucks, a really healthy thing. But when you're in a stress state, you've had the experience of having food sit like a lump in your stomach, like it just feels like a brick. That's what's happening because the stress is on, digestion has turned off, and the body's like, no. We can't digest right now. We got to save ourselves. So the stomach is waiting for the relaxation response to kick in again, and the body starts to feel like, okay, you're safe. You're not about to be eaten. It's okay. We're going to lower the heart rate. We're going to get everything back down to normal. Blood's going to go back to the digestive system again. And here we go. So what this means for healing, and this is just one example, digestion, but what it means for healing is profound. And it means that good nutrition is only half the equation when it comes to experiencing optimum health. Being in the ideal state to digest and assimilate the food is the other half. Food is important, don't get me wrong, it's very important. But if you're able to get into a better state when you are reducing mental and emotional and spiritual stress, that actually goes a long way to helping that biological and chemical stress. It doesn't help entirely. There's still two parts to the formula: the state your body's in and the food that you eat. And you can get pretty incredible results even if you don't change anything that you eat. If you can just learn to manage your level of stress and move from stressed to relaxed. Now, you may be one of them. There certainly are people who are eating the healthiest food. They're doing all the healthy things. And they say, I don't understand why I'm not getting any better, why I'm not losing any weight. I couldn't be doing anything else. The fact that they're stressing about not losing weight is because it's only half the equation. You still have to reduce the biological and chemical stress, the mental and emotional stress, the spiritual stress. And that's another reason why when life is stressful and we have stress coming at us from all angles, that we have to double down on our self-care. Otherwise, the stress starts to eat us alive, and it's going to destroy the digestive system and the nervous system and the endocrine system and the immune system, and before you know it, your body's on tilt. So even if you have complex health issues, or you have a family member that has a complex health issue, just remembering moving from a stress response to a relaxation response is the way to heal. That is the foundation for healing. So, how do you do that? Let's talk about 3 ways to do that. How to move from a stress to relaxation using food. And there are other ways such as, meditation, yoga, various relaxation techniques. But today I want to talk about food, how to move from stress to relaxation using food. And we'll continue for just a few more minutes here. So let's look at a couple of ways to use food to heal. And these are actually quite simple. The first one is to balance blood sugar. So important. If we can just keep our bodies from having a biological high and a biological low crash, we're going to be in great shape. And this is the main reason I hear repeatedly that so many people want more energy. So we have to potentially look at how are we causing exhaustion. And one of the ways we could be doing that is by not managing our blood sugar. And the way to do that is by balancing macronutrients, carbs, proteins, fats. Balancing them in every meal or snack. So you could also talk about meal timing and making sure you're eating at regular intervals. I go into much more detail, obviously, when I'm coaching somebody. But we like variety, but our bodies like routine. So the body wants to know, hey, I'm getting the fuel that I need, and I know it's coming every 4 to 5 hours. So the way I do that with my personal clients is something I call the magic plate. I love it, the magic plate. Basically, it's my answer to the My Plate, which is the FDA's dietary suggestions. And you can look that up where they show suggestions on what to eat. But the thing about that is, government recommendations are not meant for our health. They're meant to promote the profits of the food lobbyists who pour tons of money into the government. So they'll say that dairy belongs on everybody's plate. But 70% of people all over the world cannot digest dairy. So really, pardon me, but I have very strong feelings about that. So what I have in my training is something called the magic plate. And the magic plate is a very simple way, a very simple visual to balance proteins, carbs, and fats so that you're keeping your blood sugar stable at every meal and snack. I call that an IV drip of energy. That's kind of what we're looking for. Okay, let's go on to number 2. So now that you have the magic plate, you have a good balance of macronutrients. What foods do you put on there? What proteins? What carbs? What fats? And one thing I want to suggest, a simple way to look at this is to focus on counting chemicals, not calories. The more we can decrease the toxic load on our bodies, the better we can handle and process food. Okay, there are over 77,000 man-made chemicals in the United States. And our bodies were not made to process that level of toxicity. If you were to go on Google and look at pictures of spraying pesticides on crops, you're going to see pictures of like hazmat suits. It's crazy. What? We're going to eat that food? It's nuts. What ends up happening is that your liver just cannot keep up. It can't detoxify all the chemicals that need to be detoxified, and it can't filter the blood properly. So what we want to do is say, okay, I can't control every environmental toxin in the world. That could make me crazy. But I can be in control of what I eat. And I am always, am I always going to eat perfectly organic all the time, everywhere? No. But if I'm able to do that more often than not, especially with the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, and you can get that from the Environmental Working Group, which is essentially a list of, here are the list of foods you really should eat organic, the highest in pesticides, and here are the foods that really doesn't matter so much, like you're going to be all right if you eat these conventional. But we get to choose and not to load ourselves up with more toxins if we don't have to. And this is something that's so important to have a health coach who can teach you how to go from eating a toxic diet to a more whole foods, less processed diet. And not only for the sake of health, but to start to change the system. Because the consumer does have power. Have you noticed in the food industry how many organic, small batch, local, like non-GMO, lots of food manufacturers, big ones, are purchasing small companies, places that produce products like that because consumers are demanding it. Every dollar you spend is a vote. So you can vote with your fork. Okay, and the third way to use food to move the body from a state of biological and chemical stress to a state of relaxation is something I call, in my health coaching practice, something I call phasing in to phase out. And the concept of this is actually twofold. When you eat more high quality, real food, then that food is more nutrient dense. So when you eat it, your body's actually getting nutrients. Who knew? Versus eating a lot of processed foods, the body's really not getting any nutrients. For one, it's dead. It's not real. So it's going, I'm hungry. I need more, right? I can have a box of cookies, but my body doesn't feel satisfied. And that's just one of the reasons why we have so many obese people is that they're eating empty calories. Our hunger will not shut down until our bodies are nutritionally satisfied because it didn't actually have the nutrition that my body needs. But it has to be coupled with, and I say this again and again, It's two parts. It has to be coupled with the body into a state of relaxation before you eat. So if you have high quality, real food, let's put the formula together. Magic plate, balanced protein, fat, carb, plus high quality food, less chemicals, plus slowing down and getting the body into a state of relaxation when you eat. That's a really interesting formula, a really effective formula for how food can be a healing tool for the body. Will this heal everything? No. But a lot of people will get an enormous amount of benefit from just this sort of system. And as a health coach, I'm not a doctor, I'm not diagnosing, I'm not prescribing, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian. What I do is help people create the habit of eating in such a way that they're getting their body into the optimum state for healing to occur. We don't heal people anyways. The body heals itself and it wants to be healthy given the opportunity. But we can help the body get into the optimal state. So there's the macros, there's the meal timing, there's the kind of food you want to choose. You want to slow down, get your body to relax so you can assimilate the nutrients that you're eating. So now you can have a whole new experience with food and a whole new way of feeling good. And by the way, this kind of formula that I'm sharing with you will optimize for more energy as well. Because now you're not dealing with the blood sugar craziness and you're helping your body digest more effectively so it's not using up all of its energy trying to digest either. So I was trying to go fast so you'd hang in there with me. So that's a wrap. And please, I'd love to hear from you what you would be interested in learning more about. And if you know of someone who could benefit from this information, please tag or share this with them. Or if you'd like more support and accountability yourself, go ahead and leave me a DM. And thank you for watching and listening. I'm listening to you, so help me help you. I know there's a lot you could be doing with your day, so I'm honored to have spent this time with you. To your better than ever body, namaste.